Hi, Eric. We've been working with Finstride here at ForumPay for quite some time. My name is Diane Sliggers. I work for ForumPay, the business development side. And Eric, would you like to give us a brief intro about yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm happy about the interview today. Nice that this worked out. I'm Eric von Schumann. I'm originally from Germany. I'm the head of revenue and finances at Finstride as well as Redomiciled. Finstride is the parent company. 6 of us, we all met in London in banking and started Finstride. We're focused on offshore banking, global payments, crypto payments. So basically everything on the finance side. And then a year ago, we started Redomiciled with a focus on tax optimization and global structuring. So helping people to find the right residencies, the right company structures in more business friendly, more tax friendly jurisdictions. So now we have that brand that really is a family office for global citizens, where we help with everything from, as I said, tax optimization, company structures, offshore banking, and also asset management to some extent. And obviously we do work a lot with you guys on the crypto side, which we're going to talk about today.
Thank you for the introduction. And maybe what are some of the specific challenges that your clients are facing?
Most of our clients come from Europe, and for them, it's often quite tough to start or run a business because Europe is just not the most business friendly place. So our clients come to Redomiciled when they think that they could have a more business friendly setup, either from a regulatory perspective or from a tax perspective, or just from, an asset management perspective where they could just move funds easier. So typically they come to us for that. And then from the Finstride side, what we really help them to do is find the right banking structures, find the right payment structures. And with ForumPay, clients come to us because they either want their clients to be able to pay in crypto, or they want to move crypto or on-ramp crypto from their treasury. So that's really where we work with you guys. But these are the typical challenges that our clients face.
And what's the typical scenario, how you see that crypto ties in all of this offering that you have for your clients?
There's multiple options. So on the one hand, because we work with international companies, like typically our clients are we say borderless, they transact globally. So the one use case we see a lot is that crypto transactions really do help efficiency when it comes to doing business, right? So if you want to send money to certain countries which are just outside of the Eurozone or outside the US, sending it or receiving it via crypto can just speed up the process. A crypto transaction takes a couple of seconds to a couple of minutes. You guys can execute that very easily and then settle into the bank accounts of both parties. So that helps to resolve a lot of friction. But then there's obviously also that asset management side where companies and also high net worth individuals understand more and more that crypto is a very interesting asset. So what they want to do is on-ramp some of their treasury into crypto and hold that, just because that's just a new and very efficient way to, just diversify your treasury. So that's the main 2 use cases we see.
So you mentioned some of your clients being high net worth individuals. Who's a typical client for you apart from that?
Well, there's multiple clients. So for the Redomiciled part, our clients are typically global businesses. So in order to obviously structure in that way, you need to be somewhat flexible. So we have a wide variety of clients. Some of them are digital nomads who may be working remote and they just want to optimize tax and manage their assets accordingly. Some of our clients are high net worth individuals who live in certain jurisdictions who want our services to just diversify their assets as well. And then we do work with a lot of companies. So we work with online businesses a lot. That's super important because if you have a physical business, you're just limited in some extent to move around and to structure. So everything's online, but within that online space, it can be really anything. So we have a wide range from, concierge services, luxury brands, e-commerce brands, service providers. It really doesn't matter. I think the thing that really matters in order to be a client from us is that you have somewhat flexibility to move around or to change your setup. So it is required that most of your work is done online. Obviously, you can sometimes meet your clients in person. That doesn't matter. But if you have a physical business and you're selling maybe cars or you have a bakery, then we're probably not a good fit. Everyone else who's able to work online and who's ready to move around, that's a typical ICP for us.
Thank you. And so kind of to wrap up this first part about Finstride and Redomiciled, so we see that traditional finance still pretty much dominates the global stage. Where do you see this decentralized finance and international finance that you're quite often working on in the future? How is it going to evolve and change the financial landscape?
That's a good question, and I get that a lot from our clients. Actually, I would want to split that in two parts, because on the one side we have business and execution, and on the other side we have personal finance and asset management. I think from the business side, it just is being integrated more and more, and companies like ForumPay obviously help a lot to improve that, because what we see is that, of course, if you're a European business or a German business, for example, that's my home country, and you're just transacting with another German business, that's quite straightforward. But if you're a global business and you have, business partners in Asia, in South America, I remember we had a pretty fun use case in South Africa one time, then it's just not that straightforward with the traditional finance system, because it's often quite clunky and slow, and there's a lot of breaks within a payment flow, and a lot of our clients come and say, we're just waiting too long for payouts. It slows down my work process. And here, the decentralized and crypto side of things can really help, because, as we said, with a partner like you guys, we can just send payments cross-border very quickly, on and off ramp them into bank accounts, and it just saves them a lot of time. Typically, it takes less than 24 hours to have even a large transaction executed. So I think from a business side, it's just about efficiency. It's just a quicker world, and you can just improve business operations. On an asset management and on a personal finance side, for global citizens that work with us, they often want to be very diversified, because they might have their business in one place, their tax residency in another place. So for them, they're coming to us and ask, okay, so how do I manage my assets? How do I diversify? And as everyone knows, in finance, the only free lunch is diversification. So what we help them on the traditional finance side is obviously find bank accounts, find brokerage accounts and assets, in different countries, just to diversify yourself. But also we have that new component now with crypto, where clients can actually have a new form of diversification by having assets on chain, because then you remove yourself outside of the traditional finance system. It's very similar to gold to some extent, where you have an asset that is really just outside of traditional finance control. You can take it anywhere. For example, if you hold crypto assets and you have them on your own cold storage, you can just take them with you without having any third party controlling that. Obviously, I wouldn't move all of my funds into that, right? You always have to be diversified, but I think it just opens the door for high net worth individuals, and also just normal global citizens, to have another place, another asset that they can hold to diversify. So I think more and more people, more and more of our clients have understood that over the past years, which is why I think it'll just grow from now. I think we see the young generation already realizing that, and I have more and more older clients coming to us and also asking for how they could diversify their portfolio with crypto assets.
I like the example that you said about the transaction in South Africa. Can you tell a little bit more about that one?
Yeah, so that's a great example for a transaction that crypto can actually enhance. So one of our clients, a high net worth individual, he's an Austrian originally, and he wanted to buy a property in South Africa, which was worth multiple millions. And when he's tried to send that via traditional banks, he just had a lot of issues, and they were just not really approving the transaction. So he came to us and said, is there a better way of doing this? And I said, well, you could just send that via crypto. So what we've done is, we obviously at Redomiciled and Finstride, we've built the infrastructure around, and you guys taken part of the crypto piece. So what we've done is we helped him to on-ramp that from his bank in Austria onto ForumPay. You guys converted it into crypto, send it to South Africa, into the South African rand, in the digital South African rand actually, and then off-ramped it there with a local banking partner into the account of the person who sold the real estate. It took a couple of minutes. And then it arrived basically, and otherwise that would have not been possible. And our client now has his property there.
Yeah, I think that was a great example of how crypto can help make these international transactions more efficient, and it's also a good example of why our work life is so fun. So in terms of transactions, there are two types of transactions that we see, and in partnership with you and also in our everyday businesses, that one part of the transactions are that go through the automated payment flow, which we offer, and where the merchant's client simply pays with crypto. We process the transaction automatically. And for some of these clients where these are sort of like custom tailored solutions, we sometimes use OTC transactions as well, where our exchange team is involved in those transactions, and they find the best way to liquidate assets, for example, or to purchase assets. And from your perspective, how do you think that crypto in general helps businesses scale globally?
Yeah, so as we already touched on, it is just a better way if you're an international business who wants to move money quickly in different countries than maybe the EU or the US. Because again, if you transact within the core countries that you're from, you typically have pretty good payment rails. However, if you're a global business, let's say you have an online business, some of your customers are in Europe, some of your customers are in the US, some of your customers are in Asia, but then some of your suppliers might be in South America, some of them also might be in Asia. So you're just having like a very, I would say, globally diversified stakeholder and customer network. That's just where crypto transactions really help facilitate quick payment flows, because most of my clients come to me and they say, hey, we're just too slow. We're constantly waiting on banks on approval, and we're waiting on these large amounts. And that obviously applies to the larger the amount is, the longer it takes via the traditional banking system. However, what we see is that crypto is obviously a newer asset class. When you look at, stable coins and Bitcoin, they're often quite liquid. However, if very large amounts, and I'm talking multiple millions are moved, it is still better to execute that via an OTC desk. So that's why ForumPay, you guys are a great partner, because for these smaller and more, day-to-day transactions, you have an automated flow. But it's good to know that when our clients come and they say they want to do a very large transaction, which is obviously, on the one hand, just more complicated to execute, because it could move, the price a bit. And also it's just, it's a really large amount of money. So often for them, it feels more confident that this is actually executed by a real person on a trading desk. This is where we come to you, because again, you have that OTC desk option where a client could come and say, hey, I want to move multiple millions right now. And they can just know for sure that, an OTC desk with ForumPay executes that entire transaction with them, and they just feel less stressed. And they obviously get the best possible price in the market, because what an OTC desk does is they go out, they check all the prices, they find a direct buyer to avoid slippage. And slippage is obviously, a price spike when selling or buying an asset. However, I really want to stress, and that's maybe something I can give back to you as a feedback, that just especially for our clients, which are less crypto native, which are newer to the space, that component of having a professional OTC desk executing these transactions for them just gives them a lot of confidence, because as everyone can imagine, sending multiple millions via crypto and then sitting there and hoping it arrives can be quite stressful.
Yeah, I agree. And then, so what are some of the biggest pain points for these high value transactions if you're doing them in traditional payment rails?
I mean, there are obviously banks which just generally have a payout limit. So obviously banks always like to take all the money they can, but then when customers want to send out money again, there's often limits. So we're talking about some of our banks, even in the UK, they sometimes say that 100, 200K, if you want to send more than that per day, even though you might be an established business, you need to go into a branch, which is obviously super complicated. So the one side is obviously the larger the transactions are in the traditional finance system, the more controls you have, the more blocks you have, even though you might be an established business. So that's just one of the challenges. The other challenge is that banks often, when you have these global transactions, slap quite a high conversion fee on fiat currencies on that. So, I mean, some of the banks even charge 2%. And if you can imagine, if you send a couple millions, that's just a lot of money. In crypto, all of that can be very cheap and customized, because in our partnership, obviously, we always try to go out to all these exchanges, find the best possible price for the client. And obviously, the higher your volume is, the better the price will get, because, we're trying to obviously adjust the pricing to as good as possible, which these banks don't do. So it's more cost efficient. A big problem is the price. And the other one is just purely the execution, because, try sending a couple millions from your business to a country outside the European Union or outside the US. Good luck. That will definitely take a while.
And what are some of the examples where these OTC crypto transactions are basically a game changer?
They're a game changer for large amounts, because that's really where they're needed. Because what you don't want to do is just hope that you're getting an okay price when you do multiple millions. Again, if you do maybe 20, 30K, right, there's not a big difference if you have a little percentage or 0 point something percentage change. But when you send multiple millions, you want to just be sure that the price you've been quoted is also the price you get. So with an OTC transaction, you're just being guaranteed that, because you have a direct buyer outside of, the traditional liquid markets. So I think that's the biggest game changer. And then, as I already mentioned, the other game changer is just the confidence the client has that an actual, team on a trading desk is executing the order for him instead of him doing it himself from his laptop. That's really the two main points. what our clients really come for and really appreciate the OTC desk option.
Yeah, and from my side, maybe I'll add that when you look at crypto, you usually think that there's Bitcoin and all of those digital assets which are volatile, but at the same time, if you look at USDT on any market, it's rarely going to be one-to-one with US dollars. So if you just trade it yourself, like a couple million on an exchange, obviously there's the slippage and you're not really getting one-to-one, where with OTC and reliable tier one type of partners, you can offer your clients this option to receive one-to-one for these larger trades. So obviously we've been working with you, Eric, for quite some time now, and maybe if you could give us some reasons why you chose ForumPay and what stood out, why you decided to partner with us.
So obviously we're not exclusive when it comes to banking solutions, when it comes to crypto solutions, OTC desk, etc. We always try to give our clients the best fit for them, and then we give them obviously our opinion what's the best service for them. So we work with over 75 global payment trading partners and so on and so forth. However, you're right, we do work in the crypto side mainly with you, and we really try to explain our clients that ForumPay is just the best option in the market to work together, because, well, there's many reasons. One of them is obviously the team. So I generally like to work with people who are smart, who are quick, who are just very good in client service. And crypto is still a very young industry. So different to the banking side, you just have a lot of younger, more unexperienced companies. And what is good with you guys, you've been since very long in the market. You're one of the largest players. You've been established, and your team is just very great. And I mean, specifically working with you, Dane, is we're typically in the same time zone than our clients. You can call Danis, don't quote me on that, but you can call Danis on a Sunday night on his wedding and he will execute that crypto transaction for you. It's just good to know that, when our clients are dealing with these high value transactions and with their money, which is just, naturally something humans are stressed about, that they have a partner that responds quickly, that is there for them, that, works around the sun and really just always has someone there, basically, holding their hand, solving their problems. That's really on the people side. So it's just a really, really good team at ForumPay that is very responsive, very professional, and just quick at executing. From the product side, and I think that's as important, you guys are just not very exclusive when it comes to, a certain pricing or a certain exchange. So you guys go out, you have, multiple jurisdictions you're registered in, you have many licenses, so you can give customers a lot of flexibility on where to basically execute their trades. And then additional to that, you guys are scanning all the exchanges at the same time, so you can get customers to say the best price. And you also are just very good in execution, because what some of the other younger, smaller partners sometimes have issues with is when clients come with large volumes, they have a bit of slippage in there, or they can't really guarantee the price as good as you. So from a product side, it is just also very, very good. And then obviously from, the front end, you have a super good UX. It's just very easy to handle for our clients if they do smaller transactions where they have to execute themselves. And then obviously you have all the white labeling options. So you basically just are the best of both product with the best team in the market from my side.
Likewise, from our side, the same, you're a great partner for us. And we also have quite often cases where someone is looking for something that's not crypto or processing related, like they want to establish a business in the US, or they need card processing. And, that's why you're one of our preferred partners for those introductions as well. So maybe if you could give us like an overview how offering our services to your clients has enhanced the offering that you guys at Redomiciled and Finstride have now.
Yeah, so multiple points. So I think there's three main offerings for our clients. Obviously, there's specific situations like we've mentioned with the South Africa real estate purchase, but I think a large one is that clients are basically being asked if crypto payments are possible. So we see that a lot in the real estate space, especially in regions like the UAE. We see that in the luxury space. We see that in higher risk spaces as well. So there's just certain industries which are considered higher risk by banks, like gaming, for example, where it's just, their clients would like to pay in crypto, but the partner on the other side is not really, experiencing crypto. They don't want to be exposed to the volatility, and they just don't know how to execute it. So that's where ForumPay gives them either an automated or manual option to invoice their clients in crypto and receive the fiat currency of their choice. So that's obviously super helpful, because they can now offer that payment option to their client, and they don't have to worry because it'll get settled in euros, US dollars, whatsoever into their bank account. For them, it's no real difference. The second one and that's more a redomicile thing, is really the asset management. Because if you actually, buy crypto assets in your personal name, which is something you can do with ForumPay, by the way, but that's just often very straightforward, right? You could also open an exchange, and then just, run that from that exchange, like one of the traditional ones. However, if you're a global citizen, which all of our customers are, or most of our customers are, you typically find yourself, in maybe a different residency than your company, and you want to actually hold assets in your company structure as well. So that's really where ForumPay is just the execution tool, because ForumPay is really good in B2B. So it's just a more professional, more, I would say, just a really good tool for companies to buy crypto. So it's really that B2B piece to buy and hold and sell crypto.
So you mentioned high risk industry there. Are there any other industries that you can point out where you see strong crypto adoption, and perhaps how have you seen the demand evolving?
So again, apart from obviously the personal finance or the asset management side, we see a lot of demand in the luxury space. We have a lot of clients in, the concierge services, maybe watch dealers, these kind of industries where just a new high net worth individual client has arisen, and these are people who have made good money with crypto and now want to, spend it. That's something we see a lot. We see it in the real estate space, especially in industries, in jurisdictions like the UAE or Portugal, or very crypto friendly places. We do see it increasingly in online applications, because if you run an online business and, customers have multiple checkout options, additional to the card options, it's just a really good thing to also now include crypto, because especially a lot of people from the younger generation, they just like that payment option. So it's a really broad adoption, in some industries more than others, but I think that generally we just see especially stablecoin payments being adopted basically anywhere. And I think if you're offering a service or product to a client online, having that payment option is really a no-brainer, because otherwise you're just missing out on these newer type of clients who would like to pay with crypto or stablecoins.
Moving on to a slightly different angle, touching a little bit on the compliance side, how have you seen our regulatory compliance improving or supporting the offering that you can offer to your clients?
The first part is that obviously you guys have multiple jurisdictions you operate in, right? You have Europe, you have the US, and so on and so forth. So depending on where the client sits and where the client wants to execute from a regulatory perspective, you guys can do that. So it gives the client a lot of flexibility just to be compliant with, the company structure or the place they are in. But then on a way more important side, and that's something I really try to hammer home to our clients, is the fact that you guys are able to monitor the crypto before it's being transacted, right? Because let's assume you have a business and you're invoicing a client a very large amount, and you're not using a proper trading or execution tool like ForumPay, and you're just doing that yourself, right? We have some of our clients who actually done that, and they were not aware of the risk. And let's say that client maybe has the crypto from a fraudulent or from a sanctioned place. And it doesn't mean that your client has to necessarily be from there, but they could have just bought the crypto from a decentralized exchange, and those funds are maybe from a sanctioned country's exchange, or they may be from a hack. So they originate from I would say, non-compliant origin. And now you accept that money, and then you're sitting on that money and you want to cash that out via an exchange. Well, you have a big problem, because these exchanges do that as well. And suddenly you're sitting on multiple millions of crypto, which you can't cash out anymore. Plus, you're also having an issue because you've accepted a payment from funds that are fraudulent or from a sanctioned country. So you have two big problems now. How does ForumPay mitigate that? And that's why we say to our clients who do high transfers and who are companies that are actually regulated pretty well, you need that, is because you guys can actually look at the crypto before the transaction is executed. You see the origin of the last transactions, and you can just make sure that it's actually not fraudulent. And only when the crypto is clear, you accept the transaction, it is converted into fiat and then settled into a bank account, which leaves the client with obviously the insurance that they have not done anything illegal, plus the insurance that the funds will actually be converted and they're not just sitting on funds they can't liquidate anymore. So I think that's one of the core pieces where we go to clients that operate with crypto on a daily basis and say you really do need that. But yeah, that's really the core piece, apart from the fact that you have multiple jurisdictions to choose from.
A lot of people who are new to the crypto industry, they think that this is something where, it's full on privacy, you don't see anything, but in reality that it's more transparent than traditional finance in a lot of cases. And that's why this crypto screening is important, and it's more important for any transaction to make sure that your business is not exposed to that risk.
So obviously now we've talked a lot about how you guys are enhancing service for our clients, but obviously where do we fit into that piece? So how does Redomiciled and Finstride support the onboarding process when we bring clients to you?
That is a great question, Eric, and I think that there are really two parts. So one part is you understanding the product really well and explaining how the product works to your clients. So it's not like, this is ForumPay, these guys do crypto, and that's all we know. So the product really well, you can explain the product really well for your clients, because with crypto, as you said, a lot of clients are new to cryptos. For them, it's a learning process quite often, and that's one good thing. Secondly, if they ever have any questions, obviously you're very well familiar with our platform. You can always show them how it works, what they need to do. And in terms of the onboarding specifically that you asked, that's a very important step, again, because again, a lot of people think because you're a crypto payment processing company, you don't need to do KYC on the business, but we're regulated pretty much the same way as any other financial payments company. And we have to do full KYC onboarding of the merchants. And as you know, depending on how familiar with this process merchants are, it can be tricky, and they can struggle with all of the documents that they need to upload. So the good thing really with Finstride and Redomiciled is that you guys really support your merchants throughout this process. It's not just here's the company, we recommend them, go on board with them. You work directly with us and the client to make sure that their experience through the onboarding process can be as pleasant as possible. And with compliance onboarding process, it's always fun times. Yeah.
So maybe just adding to that, just to give a bit more clarity around where we sit in that piece, is obviously you guys are very sitting in a micro crypto perspective, right? You are executing, and that's what you're the best at. So you're really exceeding on that part, but we take a bit more of a macro view. So we help our clients to show the entire picture and where does ForumPay fit in, because obviously they might have, a certain banking infrastructure from which they send into ForumPay in order to on-ramp, and then that is sent and settled into, again, a different account and off-ramp somewhere. So we take that entire process. We help the client along every step, right? Moving the funds, the entire chain, and you guys really sit in that crypto piece. And then, yeah, as you said, the onboarding process, obviously, with every onboarding, banking as well as crypto, there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of explanations, flow of funds, company structuring you need to explain. And that's often where clients are just not that experienced. And because we all have experience in banking and done that for many years, we can just help the client to explain easily to the KYC teams what's the situation, and make the onboarding process very smooth and frictionless, which often otherwise is not the case.
So in this regard, how important is it for the merchant to have a bank account at a bank that's crypto friendly?
Yeah, that's something we help a lot with, because as I said, that macro view where we look at the entire payment flow is often neglected, because yes, you guys are really good at taking funds, converting them into crypto, or the other way around, and then on and off ramping them. However, even though you guys are obviously working with very strong banking partners all around the world, some bank accounts will see that ForumPay is a crypto company and it originates from there. So it is not visible straight away for the bank that this originates in a crypto transaction, but obviously banks do checks on transactions themselves. And when they look deeper into it, they will see that this is a crypto transaction and that's where it comes from. That's typically not a problem. Obviously, all of that is fine. However, some of the banks, especially the older, more traditional banks, they're just not there yet. It's just not the risk. They just don't share that risk appetite. So when a transaction comes and originates from crypto, they just not allowing that. They're just blocking that. Obviously, we see that relaxing a bit, but it is still quite a big thing. So what we help clients with, and that's a great example for that macro we've taken, is making sure that the on and off ramp from and away from ForumPay is actually done by the right bank, so that you don't have frictions when actually then these funds hit the banking system again. So we really take care of the whole chain and make sure that the entire transaction goes well, because some of the banks will just not work with crypto companies at the current stage.
I mean, the way you described is it leads very much into my next question. which sounds like it's sort of like a concierge type of service that we are providing in our specific industry, crypto processing, and for you in a larger sense of a lot of different financial services. Is that something you'd agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, concierge service is actually a good expression. So we call us the family office for global citizens, and obviously a family office takes care of everything from a company and corporation, legally tax side, as well as the entire banking, asset management, and basically all the aspects for typically private families. But our idea and our vision was like, you want to be a global citizen, live in different countries, and that is just something people need a lot of help with. So clients come to us often for one topic. They might have issues with the banking, or they want to open an offshore structure, or they want to execute a crypto transaction. But then over time, they actually, get a lot of support on all these topics. So we really like, as I said, family office, you say concierge service for our clients. And we start to really integrate into the day-to-day and help them with all the transactions, all the company and official, documentation they might need, running their business, or, just designing their life from a tax residency and company perspective. So we've spoken a lot about obviously accepting crypto. I think we cover that quite a bit, where certain industries, certain customers want to accept crypto from their clients, but they have issues. But how is it on the other way? Because increasingly we actually use you guys also for payouts. So what's your experience, and really what do you think these payouts in crypto are used for and are suitable for many of our clients?
That's a good question. And initially, when we started ForumPay, we started with the idea that the merchant can accept the payment in crypto and be settled in their local currency. Over the years, we developed the payout functionality, and in recent years, we have actually seen that the payouts are growing a lot faster than payments, because it really solves a lot of issues for merchants, especially on the internet, especially platforms like content creator platforms, payroll companies, where they need to pay globally. Like, imagine if you have a business in the US and you need to make bank wires to 30 different countries. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and on the other receiving side, it's complicated as well. So really what they do is they send us US dollars, for example, and then using our platform, within seconds, they issue thousands of payouts in crypto. And it's good for a couple of different perspectives. So first of all, it gives merchants an easy way to pay out, but it's also really great for crypto adoption, because it's an easy way for people to actually get into crypto, to receive crypto. So they don't need to go on exchange, get verified. They can get crypto through payouts. And even in the US, for example, a lot of sports teams are doing salaries in crypto now. NFL and is one of those where you see strong adoption of this. And when you look at this from the payout perspective, essentially on the merchant side, that's a functionality of buying crypto and sending it to an external wallet address. So some of our clients use it to pay some suppliers, some use it to buy crypto for themselves. And we're working on other use cases as well, where, for example, in South Africa, it would be possible to convert a voucher, for example, into crypto. So that gives you an option for a large consumer demographic to move into crypto easily, without necessarily opening an account and exchange, especially in those parts of the world that are underbanked. So there are a lot of different ways how this can evolve, but I think it's definitely big for the industry.
100%. And maybe just to touch on a great example from our redomiciled clients, who are often digital nomads, right? They might run a business and have a lot of freelancers all around the world, right? They might use some people in the Philippines to do certain services. They might use some people in India to do certain services, and so on and so forth. So suddenly you're being confronted with paying some of your suppliers in 30 different currencies, as you said, and then good luck doing that. That will cost you probably an entire week. While with your solution and with these automated payouts, we just help our clients to settle all of their payouts in one. They can just on-ramp it on ForumPay. Then either people request their salary or they send it manually, and then everyone's being settled in the crypto of their choice. And then they can convert that in their country into their local bank account, and you kind of just having it all in one step, because crypto is like a global currency, rather than just having different banking rails with different currencies and having a specific setup for every single country one of your suppliers might be. Not even talking about the fact that some of your suppliers or some of your freelancers might be moving all the time as well. So that is another complication in that process, obviously. what is it being like a crypto partner for Redomiciled? So what kind of clients do we bring, and how do we fit into your piece really?
So first of all, obviously, it's great working with you. And as you highlighted, maybe in some of the benefits about us, I think that you guys are working on a similar service where it's very personal. You are always there. Your clients can reach you. They can have a meeting. It's not like, you'll maybe get an email response in a week. So it's very direct. It's very personal approach to all of the clients. And we tend, just like you, we both of our companies tend to move very fast. If, a client needs to do transaction, we will always make sure that we are not the ones holding it or blocking it. So we try to move everything as fast as possible. So I think the style is very similar. So we're really enjoying it. And in terms of the clients that you bring, obviously, they're very good clients that you've brought in, especially in the luxury industry. And also I would say that some of these OTC trades that we've been maybe not, it's not like a merchant that would go directly to a crypto processing company and ask if that is that a service that they can use crypto to buy, real estate in South Africa. But, having that consultant who sees the bigger picture and just connects those dots, I think for that, it's been really great working with you guys. And obviously what you mentioned in terms of the support on the onboarding side, that's very important as well, because anyone who's worked in the payments industry or has been related to business KYC onboarding, they know, it's that point where a lot of merchants get stuck. So you just need someone pushing things along. And you guys are really great at that.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you.
So before we wrap up, maybe you could tell me a little bit what's next for you guys. What are your next plans?
Yeah, I mean, again, I hope that wasn't too confusing for our clients, where we have Finstride, the parent company with all the finance and payments and banking side. And then we obviously have Redomiciled, which is the global structuring arm. So on the Redomiciled side, we're obviously quite a new brand. It's quite a new sub-brand of Finstride, where we're still growing, our social media. We're still expanding the offering continuously. We have over 45 jurisdictions we offer for company corporations, for tax residencies, and that's something that's continuously expanding, as well as obviously the service and the banking is. So that's still new, that's still continuously growing. On the Finstride side, we also got some very exciting news for our clients, for obviously both brands. We are actually about to launch towards Q4 our own EMI and banking solution, where customers can onboard with us, and then just everything is basically managed through Finstride, through a actually Finstride banking solution. That will then complete the picture, because then we can really cover the entire flow of opening the right company structures for our clients, helping them with tax residencies, and then having our own banking solution as well. Obviously, we'll be still non-exclusive. We'll be still working with over 75 partners globally, but for this banking solution will be obviously customized for the fit of our clients. For example, we will not have issues with crypto payments, so you can easily settle from ForumPay into our banking solution. But more on that in Q4. That's still in the making. You can always reach out to us on Instagram. You'll find the business WhatsApp there as well. We're called Redomiciled on Instagram. Write us a DM or go via the link and book a call. Have a look on the YouTube. Just get familiar with our journey, our vision. About being a global citizen, and how this is the trade of our generation. And when I say our, I'm really talking about everyone from 20 to 30, so my generation. And for Finstride, it's Finstride Services. Again, you will reach the same team. So just feel free to reach out. Obviously, we're always happy to jump on calls. There's no cost involved. We're always happy to meet you, see how we can help you. Just don't hesitate. Reach out on Instagram, reach out on WhatsApp, reach out on the website.
Thank you, Eric. And if you're a ForumPay client, obviously you can reach out to us as well, and we'll connect you with the guys at Finstride and Eric. Eric is always happy to join any meetings, and we're happy to set those up as well.